JB Cycles with update on February the 9th. So market still behaving more bullish than I kind of expect. That's been the trend last couple of months. So we see my 4-week cycle is approaching a low. So we should have some kind of a dip this next week. But yeah, I see nothing bearish here. And there's uncertainty about the 10-week cycle down here. Did it start here? Actually, I think maybe it's a question of definitions, but I think maybe that could be the 10-week cycle low. So you know we are around the middle, or have not reached the middle of the cycle yet. So, but let's switch over to some context. The 3.5-year cycle is shown here in red. That's the average 3.5-year cycle with over 100 years data, and it's detrended. So the cycle top here should actually be regarded as a momentum top, and this next lower top is often the actual price high. So if we go back the recent cycles, we see the price top was at this lower top, and here we topped out late, here we topped out later, here we topped out around this top. So we still have a lot of bullish cycle coming here. Or the rest of this year is bullish. And if we look back in time here, I have placed these vertical lines at the momentum high of the cycle. We see market top later, top later, top later, top later, top later, top later. Here we topped around the momentum high. Top later, 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 later. Here we topped at the momentum high. Later. Here we topped at the momentum high. Later. So you see, there's no reason to look for anything bearish for the next, in this year. And I expect some kind of a low here in the spring, and a high around Christmas. And then if we see stagnation, then we could crash down here, or perhaps some kind of a topping formation, and then we top at this price high, and then we get the bear market. So let's switch to my wavelets S&P daily data. So this black scenario, no, it's not playing out that way. So let's remove that scenario. And I talked about this could be a top, but well, looking at my wavelets here, it looks like a selling setup. Looks like a top, but then looking at price action, it's not confirming it. We have too much momentum. It doesn't look like a top. We need to see some kind of a topping formation here. So perhaps something like this, but we have to see when we get this pullback and another top how the wavelets look, because maybe we will have a top even later. And I also talked about this is a short rally, November, December, January. In bull markets you can often go 6, 7, 8 months between corrections. So there could be only a pullback here in March. And we can rally in April and May and sell in May and go away, but then you buy at the correction low in June, and then we rally all into Christmas. So no reason to be bearish here. What else have I got? Yeah, the VIX wavelet, the 10-week wavelet, has often been helpful. And here I had inverted the VIX wavelet and comparing with the S&P, and I see no sign of a top in the VIX, or I should say a low in the VIX, and a top for the S&P. And I have a projection here, what to expect when we are at this point in the 10-week wavelet, and this is the projection, and it says, hey, there are 2-3 more weeks with upside here from this projection, and this projection suggests that this higher low was probably the 10-week cycle low, not this first low. So we will have to see how that develops the next week or two. And then we have the Dow Jones hourly data. I have my 2-week oscillation here, and the oscillation low is around Wednesday next week. Doesn't look well. Looks like, looking at this blue wavelet down here, could be a little bit more upset on Monday, and then we could go down Tuesday, Wednesday. But also I'm not quite certain about the 2-week oscillation. When looking at my wavelets down here, it looks more like that was a 2-week oscillation. And if you go back here, we see this 2-week oscillation, it started very early. We had a shortened oscillation. I said that was maybe because we lost a couple of trading days here just after New Year, and we had some holiday in January, so maybe that could explain why this 2-week oscillation was shortened. But it's also a possibility that this was just, call it a disturbance, and a short-term disturbance. So maybe it's like this. So maybe this 2-week oscillation just started early, but here we are back in phase. If so, the low could be around Friday next week. And maybe there's more upside here on Monday, Tuesday. I'm not quite certain, but it doesn't look bearish to me. So anyway, what happens here? I would look for some kind of a topping formation. But then it could all end up being a consolidation, and then we get another top. So we'll see, but the context, there's still a bullish 3.5-year cycle here, perhaps for another, well, maybe more than a year, but at least into November, December, and possibly into winter 2025. So, see ya.